think there were not many people who understood just how broad his interests were and how supportive he was of an astonishingly wide range.
For decades, the British monarchy has survived because of one powerful tradition: the belief that duty comes before personal feelings. Behind the grand ceremonies, royal portraits, and carefully written speeches, there has always been another story unfolding. A story of decisions made quietly, conversations held behind closed doors, and moments that never reached the public. But what happens when a message from one of the most respected monarchs in history appears to reveal a completely different vision for the future? According to the dramatic claims surrounding the story, Princess Anne found herself holding something that carried enormous emotional weight, a message connected to her late mother, Queen Elizabeth II. A message that would eventually leave both King Charles and Prince William facing difficult questions about the future of the crown and the role of Catherine, Princess of Wales. For years, Princess Anne has been known as the most private and disciplined member of the royal family. Unlike other royals who have often found themselves surrounded by headlines and controversy, Anne built her reputation through consistency. She worked quietly, avoided unnecessary attention, and dedicated her life to royal service. She was the daughter who understood her mother better than almost anyone. She witnessed Queen Elizabeth's transformation from a young princess into the longest-reigning monarch in British history. She saw the pressures of the crown, the sacrifices behind the title, and the challenges that came with protecting the institution. That is why, when Anne allegedly chose to speak about her mother's thoughts regarding the future of the monarchy, people immediately began asking questions. What did Queen Elizabeth truly believe about the next generation? And why was Catherine Middleton, the woman who entered royal life without being born into it, such an important figure in that vision? The answer, according to this story, was not about changing the rules of succession. It was about something deeper, the qualities needed to protect the monarchy in a rapidly changing world. Queen Elizabeth spent more than 70 years observing people. She understood that popularity alone could not save the crown. Tradition alone could not guarantee its survival. A modern monarchy needed trust, connection, and someone capable of representing both history and change. And this was where Catherine's name became central. When Catherine married Prince William in 2011, many saw her as simply the future king's wife. A young woman learning royal protocol, attending engagements, and preparing for a life unlike anything she had known before. But over time, something unexpected happened. The public began seeing Catherine differently. She was not simply performing royal duties. She appeared to genuinely understand the responsibilities that came with the role. She focused on causes involving children, mental health, families, and early development. She built relationships with communities and earned respect through patience rather than dramatic gestures. For Queen Elizabeth, those qualities mattered. The monarch had spent her entire life watching people enter the royal system. She knew that titles could be inherited, but respect had to be earned. And Catherine was slowly earning it. Meanwhile, the future of the monarchy was becoming more complicated than anyone expected. King Charles had spent decades preparing for his moment. His entire life had been shaped around eventually becoming sovereign. But becoming king came with challenges his mother had spent a lifetime managing. The world had changed. Public expectations had changed. And the relationship between the royal family and the public was no longer based only on tradition. Prince William also carried an enormous responsibility. From childhood, he had known that one day the crown would rest on his shoulders. Every decision, every mistake, and every personal struggle was watched by millions. But beside him was Catherine, someone who had become one of the monarchy's strongest assets. The interesting part of this story was that Catherine never appeared to chase influence. She did not demand attention. She did not try to compete for the spotlight. Instead, she focused on service. And perhaps that was exactly what made her stand out. According to the claims surrounding Queen Elizabeth's message, the late monarch recognized something special in Catherine. She believed that the future of the institution depended not only on who wore the crown, but on who could help people believe in it. When Princess Anne finally decided to reveal what she knew, the atmosphere inside the royal family was reportedly filled with uncertainty. Imagine the scene. A private conversation. A serious room inside the palace. King Charles and Prince William listening carefully as Anne explained why she believed her mother's words still mattered. There was no public announcement. No cameras. No official statement. only family members trying to understand what the future should look like. For Charles, the discussion would have been deeply personal. He had waited his entire life to become king. The crown was not just a position, it was the purpose around which his entire existence had been built. For William, the message would have raised complicated emotions. He loved and respected Catherine, but the idea that someone else could be viewed as the symbol of the monarchy's future would naturally create difficult questions. Was he prepared for the role ahead? Was the monarchy changing faster than anyone realized? And what did Queen Elizabeth see that others had not? But perhaps the most surprising part was Catherine herself. Throughout her royal journey, Catherine had shown a remarkable ability to handle pressure. From the intense media attention during her relationship with William to the challenges of adapting to royal expectations, she remained composed. She experienced criticism. She faced unfair judgments. She endured moments when the public questioned whether she was ready. Yet she continued forward. Slowly, she built something that could not be created through announcements or titles. She built trust. And trust is one of the most valuable things any royal can possess. The monarchy has always depended on the connection between the crown and the people. Without that connection, even the strongest traditions can begin to weaken. Queen Elizabeth understood this better than anyone. Her reign was defined by stability, patience, and a deep understanding of public service. She knew that every generation brought new challenges, and every future monarch needed the ability to adapt. That was why Catherine's journey became so significant. She represented a bridge between the old world and the new one. A woman who was not born into royal life, but learned to serve with dedication. A person who understood that influence came from actions, not just titles. As rumors and discussions surrounding the Queen's alleged message continued, one question remained at the center of everything. Could Catherine become one of the most important figures in the future of the British monarchy? And if Queen Elizabeth truly believed in her potential, what did that mean for Charles, William, and the next chapter of royal history? The answers would reveal a much bigger story, one about family, duty, tradition, and the difficult choices that come with protecting a centuries-old institution. Because sometimes, the greatest changes in history do not begin with a public announcement. Sometimes, they begin with a quiet conversation behind palace walls. And according to this story, Princess Anne's revelation was only the beginning. As the discussions inside the royal family continued, one thing became increasingly clear: the future of the monarchy would not be decided by tradition alone. For centuries, the British crown had followed a simple path. The throne passed from one generation to the next, following rules established long before modern challenges existed. But the world surrounding the monarchy had changed dramatically. The public wanted more than ceremonies and history. They wanted authenticity. They wanted to see members of the royal family who understood ordinary people, who connected with communities, and who represented values that mattered in modern society. And this was where Catherine, Princess of Wales, had created a unique position for herself. Long before becoming a senior royal, Catherine Middleton lived a life far removed from palace walls. She was not born into privilege or surrounded by royal expectations. Her journey was different from those who grew up knowing they would one day serve the crown. Her childhood taught her independence. Her education taught her confidence. And her experiences before royal life helped shape the person millions would later admire. Catherine's story was not one of instant transformation. It was a gradual process of learning, adapting, and proving herself. When she first entered the public eye as Prince William's girlfriend, she faced enormous pressure. Every photograph was analyzed. Every decision became a headline. Critics questioned whether she had the strength to handle royal responsibilities. But Catherine refused to allow the attention to define her. She remained calm. She focused on her relationship, her family, and eventually her role as a working member of the royal family. When she and William married, the world watched closely. Many wondered whether she could truly become a symbol of the modern monarchy. Over time, she answered that question through action. Her approach was different from previous generations. She embraced traditional royal duties while also bringing attention to issues that affected millions of people. Mental health awareness, the importance of childhood development, support for families, the well-being of future generations. These causes reflected a different style of royal service, one based on understanding rather than simply representing. And this was believed to be the quality Queen Elizabeth valued most. The late Queen had experienced decades of change. She had seen governments rise and fall. She had witnessed public opinion shift. She understood that institutions survive only when they remain connected to the people they serve. Perhaps that was why Catherine became such an important figure in discussions about the monarchy's future. Not because she demanded a greater role, but because she seemed ready to accept responsibility if it came. Meanwhile, Prince William faced his own internal battle. For his entire life, he had prepared for the crown. Every lesson, every public appearance, every sacrifice had been part of that preparation. He understood duty. He understood tradition. But seeing Catherine's growing influence forced him to think about leadership in a new way. A future king does not stand alone. The strength of a monarchy often depends on the people standing beside the sovereign. Queen Elizabeth had spent decades alongside Prince Philip, and their partnership had become one of the defining relationships of her reign. She understood the importance of having someone who could support, strengthen, and connect with the public. Perhaps she saw that same potential in William and Catherine. Not as competitors, not as separate figures, but as a team. For King Charles, the situation carried its own emotional weight. His reign represented the continuation of his mother's legacy. He had spent decades waiting for the moment when he would finally serve as monarch. But he also understood the reality of the modern world. The crown could not remain frozen in the past. It had to evolve. And evolution often comes with difficult conversations. The alleged message from Queen Elizabeth was not about removing anyone from their position. It was about recognizing the qualities required to protect the institution. Leadership, compassion, stability, connection. Qualities that cannot simply be inherited. They must be demonstrated. And Catherine had spent years demonstrating them. Perhaps the most powerful moment in this story was not the reaction of Charles or William. It was Catherine's own response. Many people expected ambition. They expected excitement. They expected someone to immediately embrace the possibility of a greater role. But Catherine's approach was reportedly much more thoughtful. She understood that royal responsibility was not about personal achievement. It was about sacrifice. It was about family. It was about carrying the expectations of millions of people. Her hesitation showed something important. She did not view the crown as a prize. She viewed it as a responsibility. And that attitude may have been exactly why Queen Elizabeth trusted her. The monarchy has always faced moments of uncertainty. From political challenges to family disagreements, every generation has had to prove that the institution still has a purpose. The current generation is no different. King Charles represents continuity. Prince William represents the future. And Catherine represents a changing relationship between the monarchy and the people. Together, they represent a new chapter. A chapter where tradition and modern values must exist side by side. Of course, the reality of royal life is far more complex than any single message or private conversation. Official decisions about succession follow constitutional rules, and no individual can simply rewrite centuries of tradition. But the discussion surrounding Queen Elizabeth's views highlights an important question. What truly makes someone worthy of representing the crown? Is it only birth? Is it history? Or is it the ability to inspire trust and bring people together? For many royal observers, Catherine's journey represents the answer to that question. She entered royal life as an outsider. She faced criticism. She faced pressure. She faced moments of uncertainty. Yet she continued to serve with patience and dignity. And that may have been the greatest lesson Queen Elizabeth understood. The future of the monarchy would not depend only on the person wearing the crown. It would depend on the people who helped give that crown meaning. As Britain looks toward the next generation, one thing remains certain. Prince William, King Charles, and Catherine will each play important roles in shaping the future of the institution. Whether behind palace doors or in front of millions, their decisions will influence how the monarchy is remembered. Because history is not only written through grand moments. Sometimes it is shaped through quiet choices. Through people who serve without seeking attention. Through individuals who understand that true leadership is not about power. It is about responsibility. And that may be the reason Princess Anne's alleged revelation created such a powerful reaction. It reminded everyone that the future of the monarchy is not only about who inherits the throne. It is about who has the ability to carry its meaning forward. If you enjoyed this story, share your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe Catherine represents the future of the British monarchy? Do you think Queen Elizabeth valued her qualities as a future leader? Let us know your opinion, and don't forget to subscribe for more royal stories, history, and unforgettable moments from the House of Windsor.